maybe just misunderstood a little bit about how do I address what you've been talking about? Where do I apply things? How do I apply things? We talk about controls, we talk about standards, we'll go into more of that, but two basic things. How are they met? Right? And they're met through policy and technology. These are the two levers that you want to pull on when you're looking to address any type of control, right? It's NIST, HIPAA, regulation, SEC, New York State DFS, whatever it is. You have two real levers to be able to say, I meet that. And this is where you are going to create an environment around each of the controls that looks at one of these two and has what would be considered some level of evidence, right, or artifact. Something that's going to be able to stand up to somebody else saying, look, prove to me that you do what you say you're doing. Identity AM1. Controls, the first control within NIST basically goes over and says all physical devices are within the organization are inventoried. How do you address that? What's the artifact? What's the evidence? Do you have a policy that states something to the effect of all devices in the organization will be inventoried, and maybe some sub-policies on your level of understanding and enforcement of that, like 100% of laptops, 100% of servers, maybe you have some specificity? Or do you leverage some type of a technology, maybe some type of discovery tool, right? Again, these are how you meet this, right? Within policy, I would say there's probably two subcomponents to really pull into, and those are processes and your procedures. Now, these aren't what you want written into your policy. You want your policies to be really simple, straightforward, basic, attainable. Your processes are, I would say, and I would argue that your processes are your technical capabilities written as policy that you expect of your technology. Your procedures are those that you're leveraging from your people, okay? So what are your people able to do? What are the procedures to do things? What's your technology's processes, right? Or maybe you can just larger scale look at it, not just at technology, but from an organizational standpoint, right? You have organizational processes between groups, right, that need to take place. Use these to show that you meet this. Technology is a straightforward, easy one, right? Do you have a tool that's inventorying and putting into a database everything that you're seeing, right? Do you have some system that's constantly looking into the environment for devices, determining if they're yours or not? This one is, and then shepherding that information into some type of database for you to be using later, so that you can look and get kind of eyes on into that database to be able to then say, hey, we meet this control because we have a technology that is looking for all of these devices and systems. We have a policy that says that we can do it. Now, here's the fun and tricky part when it comes to really kind of getting your way with minimizing impact and maximizing the amount of controls. You want to have the least amount of policies and the least amount of technologies being able to address the most amount of controls. It's a very, one to many approach, okay? So if you can have a policy written in such a way that you can then address many different controls, a lot easier in our life when we start getting into governance. How do we review that? You can have one technology that's being able to address many different controls, right? Financially, and from a complex standpoint, you're going to have an easier environment to be able to work with it. So again, let's look at what type of artifact and evidence that we can have to support when we start looking into and moving on controls. The two areas we want to see, policy and technologies, right? All right, I hope this is helpful. Remember, check us out on YouTube and LinkedIn. Sizzle Life.